What I've learned in life is that you can't wait for people um, to determine your level of success. You have to do what you have to do.
Somebody say, oh yeah, you've done a great job. You've done this, you're doing well. But I don't think until later on in life, it occurred to me, not everyone that's supposedly cheering me on is really cheering me on.
Music is a business. And if you don't educate yourself in the business, you might very well find you get into your old age and you're poor. You have a home, you have a car, you have no savings, you have nothing. Because you didn't take care of the business aspect of music. The future simply accepts you as a representative of your past.
Welcome to Begin, Build, Blossom, Your Business Journey, the podcast where we share valuable insights, resources, and motivation to fuel your entrepreneurial spirit. Let's build a supportive community together. Don't forget to subscribe or follow wherever you listen to podcasts and be part of this journey.
This episode is brought to you by DCI Shipping Limited. Looking to take your business global without the stress or the premium price tag? DCI Shipping Limited delivers premium exporting services at affordable prices. They specialize in seamless, secure, international shipping backed by a strong logistics network and cutting-edge technology. From careful documentation to reliable delivery, DCI Shipping handles every step with precision so your goods arrive safely and on time. If you're ready to expand your global reach with a partner who values professionalism and customer care, connect with DCI Shipping today. Visit dcishippinglimited.com to find out more. Welcome to Begin, Build, Blossom, Your Business Journey, a space for inspiration, insight, and real conversations on entrepreneurship and creative journeys. I'm your co-host for this episode, Angela St. Dennis. Thank you for joining us. I'm thrilled today to chat with our guest. He's a Caribbean icon whose sound has shaped generations and carried the rhythm of Saint Lucia across the world. He's not just a master guitarist, he's a pioneer, a cultural ambassador, whose music blends jazz, soul, and Caribbean rhythm into something unmistakably his own. Our guest is the incomparable Ronald Hinkson, a world-renowned jazz guitarist and composer with a career spanning decades and continents. But long before the international stages, the awards, and the global recognition, Boo began with a love for music, nurtured at home, guided by curiosity and fueled by discipline. From forming the legendary Tru Tones to carving out a solo career that blends jazz with Caribbean soul, Boo's journey is a masterclass that embodies creative progression and evolution. He has built a legacy not by chasing trends, but by staying rooted in authenticity, refining his craft, and showing up repeatedly with excellence. His story reminds us that building a meaningful career or business is not just about overnight success, but about patience, adaptability, and the courage to keep growing. And even now, Boo continues to flourish by mentoring, influencing, and opening doors for others while still creating at the highest level. Today, we're exploring his creative and entrepreneurial journey, how he began, what it took to build, and what it means to keep blossoming after decades of success. Boo, welcome to Begin, Build, Blossom.
Thanks for having me. What an introduction. I didn't even realize I had such an illustrious career.
I always say that sometimes when your introduction is done, you sit there and you wonder, is this me? You've just given us a reflection of that. But as you would have seen, the podcast rather is about that journey as a creative, as an entrepreneur, your career, whatever it may be. So we will go through that process. But before we even get started, we want to get to know Boo a little bit more. Who's this person? We see you performing on stage, on world stages all over, but there are little fun things we want to know. So the first question under this section, called Rapid Fire, is one word to describe yourself as a child and one word to describe you now as an adult.
Discipline.
Oh, so you were that one always on time, always doing what needs to be done, no deviation.
I have a fear of failure. I think that's where the discipline came in. I've always had a fear of failing. Because to me, that's not an option.
Mm-hmm. Mm. And so, as an adult, what would you keep the same word, or has it changed? Have you seen any change?
Yeah, it's same discipline and commitment and focus, but with a greater understanding of what I need to do to succeed in life. But I also understand that discipline has guided me towards working to become the best human being that I can become. Because I think if I become a great person, a great human being, it's easier for me to succeed at my music and everything else that I want to do, because music is a one-dimensional thing. I'm just doing music. I'm working and practicing every day because I want to succeed as a musician. So you just do it and you just do it for 8 hours a day practice, and then you just get good at it. But becoming a great human being demands a lot more. So if I become a great human being, it's easier for me to become a great musician.
That is true, because then you cover everything in life and not one-dimensional, as you said. The whole.
You got it.
Okay. All right, excellent. So the next question, that was rather insightful. I mean, sometimes we don't think about it in that way. So thanks for sharing that. Now, the next question on the rapid fire is, there are books, there are movies that you probably would have seen over time or read. Is there anyone that has had an impact on you as that person?
Well, I'm not a great movie person, but I'm into reading a lot. It's just not just one book. It's a few books.
So share it with us.
The books I recommend to people depends on who I'm talking to, and interacting with the person, and my intuition is very good. So I deal with people, and I have a tendency to unknowingly to them analyze who I'm dealing with, and so that will determine what book I recommend to the person. You know what I'm saying? If I'm dealing with yeah. Sometimes the book you recommend, the person doesn't even know why you recommended that book. It's because you have seen certain things in them, Because I like to understand who I'm dealing with, particularly if I'm dealing with new people in my life, So it's a few books, man. It's one of them is, I want all my white friends particularly to read that, because they have to know some things about themselves that they don't want to admit, So I advise them to read The Miseducation of the Negro, to understand the role they played in how our lives have unfolded, Not that black people must read it too, Our black people must read that book too.
Yes.
But my white friends must read it too, because sometimes they want to avoid the history that they have created, I recommend that book to them so that they can have an insight into what they have done. And in a more contemporary sense, I would suggest another book by Anand Deodaras called Winners Take All.
Okay, I've heard about it.
People who present themselves and they're just posturing as leaders and advocates of change, but a lot of them already have how should I put this? They already have the economic power, and they present themselves as so that they can acquire the political power, and that's dangerous, because political power in the hands of the people who have the economic power doesn't serve our purpose. So I would recommend that book. And I would also recommend, let me say, Shock Doctrine by Naomi Klein. So there's a few books, There's a few books.
I haven't heard about that one, the last one, but the first two I've heard of.
Shock Doctrine? Yeah, you must read that book. And also, The Return of Ordinary Capitalism. It's by Stanford Scrum. I think he's a professor at that university. I think it's in New Jersey. Anyway, that's another book that explains a lot of what is happening in the world today, And an old book I read called The Pouring of America. It was written by some Indian guy. It's an old book. But what is unfolding now is some of the things that have unfolded now that I gathered from that book, because if you decide to outsource all of your manufacturing and so on to countries where you can get cheap labor. Your main focus is just making a lot of profit.
Yes, yes.
What you're doing really is creating unemployment in your country, and you're perpetuating poverty in the country where you went to find the cheap labor. And eventually it's not going to work for anybody.
Yes, yes. That is very true.
All that's happening is you making a lot of money, but you have created unemployment in the country where you took the business away from, and you're perpetuating poverty and putting people destitute in the country where you've put your business because you're getting sweatshop labor.
Yes, and then the social issues in both spaces because you
Exactly. So what has unfolded in recent times in America, I saw it coming from reading that book many years ago.
Okay. So all of these books that you've shared hints to a bit of history, economics, that political sphere, that developmental sphere. So probably to guide a question that comes later on. So that's very insightful. So these are a lot of books that us as hosts on the podcast, as well as our...
But I also have to tell you about another book I read that's very difficult reading. It's called Critique of Pure Reason, and Immanuel Kant was a German philosopher. It's very difficult reading. I've read it a few times to understand anything. I'm not even sure if I'm not even sure now if I understand it. I keep reading it because I will not accept that somebody has written something that I do not understand. You know, so I have to keep reading it all the time.
What about it though that makes it difficult to understand the theories, the explanation?
I think what happened originally, I don't think the book was written in English originally. So the translation is very...
the translation.
Not that the translation is not good. It is just that the way it is couched, it makes it difficult to internalize and understand what is being written. And I used to accept that somebody is writing something that I don't understand. But I think it's just I'm not even suggesting that people read it because it's just a challenge for me, my personal challenge.
Okay. All right. So we'll move along with the rapid fire so we can get into a lot more of the meat of the beginning, the building, and the blossoming. So another question on the rapid fire is a fun fact. Considering you're so disciplined, I want to hear something fun about Boo that we may not necessarily know.
About me? Well, I'm a very funny guy. When I'm in my close circle of friends and family and so on, I'm a very, very funny guy. I can be. Some of my friends said, if you were not a musician, you would have been a comedian.
Okay. So that's definitely a good fun fact.
Yeah, I can say some very, very funny things. And because I'm a writer, they can have them at the tip of my tongue. You know, they can just
the lyrics on the wood.
Yeah, I can say some very, very funny things. You know? And sometimes I say them and I can't come to my own.
So we'll explore some of that as we proceed.
Okay.
All right. So the next question is, you've traveled to many countries in the world. If there's one country that you could visit today, where would that be?
Well, strangely enough, I've been to so many places in the world. I haven't been to Africa. So I was supposed to go last year, just on holiday, because I have family. And I didn't get around to it because my music kept me busy going other places. But I rather suspect I will do that this year because I must go to the motherland.
Mm-hmm. Any specific country?
Well, I have family both in Ghana and Nigeria. So I think that's the place I'm going to go. And I have a dear friend I think he's in Kenya or Somalia, somewhere like that. So, but I'm definitely looking at going to Africa this year. I want to connect to the music for one. And I rather suspect if I go to Africa, I'll feel a vibe that I've never felt before in my life because I'm very pro-Black. And I make no apologies about saying that because I'm Black, you know. So I understand a lot of our history. I understand why things have unfolded for us in the way they have. And for me, going to Africa will only make that a lot more profound.
Okay, great. So thanks for that. The next one it's kind of connected to being funny in a way, but a childhood memory that brings a smile to your face. Any childhood memories that bring smiles considering the level of discipline you were?
What kind of age you thinking of? When you say childhood memory, what kind of age you thinking of?
I mean, everyone has shared different levels. It could be in adolescence. It could be in your teenage years.
Well,
I feel like there's something there because it's bringing a laugh, not even a smile.
so here's what. In my teenage years, I used to have this girlfriend, man, and I was reading a lot, and I decided I wanted to do something called astral traveling because of some of the books that I was reading, which is to separate from your physical. And so I had to do. It demanded a lot of stuff of me, a lot of extra discipline. One of the things it demanded, I don't do a lot of things that people do that are normal, right? And when I explained that to the girlfriend I had, she left me. She said she have no part of that, and she left me.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
I think that was a funny part of my life because I think for me and all my friends, I was almost alone in doing this. You know what I mean? And to her, I think she thought she was dealing with a guy who was weird. And astral traveling, what is that? Boom. What is astral traveling? And I explained to her, and
Well, I would agree with her, because yes,
I'm
yeah, and
disappointed in you.
what in the world are you talking about? That's what I would have asked. Well, at least it worked out. So you're here today.
Yeah, it worked out for me. It worked out for me, man.
The traveling, that is.
Yeah, but I never succeeded.
So our final question, though, on the rapid fire.
Tell me.
So we didn't do our rapid fire really rapidly. So we have to get through our last question. If you were not a musician, what career path would you have chosen?
Oh, definitely. I think I would have been a social worker
Mm-hmm.
because I have a passion for humanity, and I like to see people succeed, and I'm very caught up in the lives of the indigent and the marginalized. So I think I would definitely be a social worker. I have no doubt about that, and I'd find all kind of causes to fight.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're still fighting some causes, just in a different way.
Well, I do. I used to have my own after school homework assistance program in an area called Wilton's Yard.
Oh, really? Okay.
I had 4 teachers. I had like about 32 students, and they were all from a kind of underprivileged background. And I ran that program for 5 years. So I'm still doing a lot of social work, but not at that level with the program and so on. I still do it privately, and people don't know because it's not important to me that people know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes, it's the results from the persons you've helped them succeeding, those who are benefiting.
Absolutely.
All right, so we've gotten through the warm up. We can't call it rapid fire anymore. So we want to get into your story now, get into those foundation years of the business of music, the business of entertainment. But we'll start with your childhood. Tell us a little bit about where you were raised, where you were born in Saint Lucia, and what was Saint Lucia like at that time?
Well, I was born in Castries. We lived on an area called the Bakafai. You know what that is? It's now called Brogley Street, and now it's also called Baccarat. I don't know why the name.
Okay. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, I grew up there, and that's where my music started, really. But prior to that, we lived on High Street, where maintenance companies have a rum shop downstairs, and we lived upstairs or somewhere in that area there. And I was always attracted to music, so I used to get these bottles, vermouth bottles and Marlboro bottles, and put water in them. And if you put water in the bottle and you hit it with a spoon or something, you'll get a particular note. So I used to put water in them and tune them to a scale and play music on that, until a family friend of ours, Leo Centros, who used to own a business called Mama Zafa, Leo went to England, migrated to England. You know that era when all the Saint Lucians migrated to England in the 60s and 70s. And he sent out Brother Winston. And that did it for me, So we had a guitar in the house, and my mother played guitar. She taught me to play. And the rest is history. Actually, During the Second World War, there was a contingent of the British Army in the Caribbean called the West Indian Regiment. And my dad was in the army band. So my dad played the clarinet and my mother played guitar. My mother taught me to play guitar. And
So you were in that musical family.
I didn't find music. Music found me. So, and that is where my discipline came into to benefit me, because I would practice every day religiously, right? Every day I practice every day. But there were a lot of guys who influenced me. There used to be guitarists around the place like Terry Edmonds. Remember Kentry Edmonds by the Square?
Yes, I remember the name.
Okay, there was Terry Edmonds, there were Lynn Edmonds, and these guys were good players. And, so I learned from these guys, and also there was an era when we lived on Brogley Street, which is now Baccarat, when Rick Rainey used to come to Saint Lucia, and Rick used to come to my house. I was just friends with my brother Eden, who migrated to England, and I never saw Rick as the bodybuilder that he was. I was interested in his success as a musician, as a singer in England, and a lot of people didn't know that. So I had a great admiration for him, because I couldn't understand how this Saint Lucian guy had a big hit in England, man. I wonder if I can do that. And, I was very taken up with that,
Mm-hmm.
But and then I got together with some friends of mine, and we started to play music together. There was Michael Alexander, whose father was the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Daniel Alexander, and his son and I were very good friends. And his son was a brilliant, brilliant guy. As a matter of fact, we were friends, and he used to teach me at the college. He was so bright, but he must have got into the college at about, I don't know, man, pre-teens, and was teaching when he was about 13, 14.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he was certainly one of those.
Oh, yeah. When he pulled me up at school, I used to pull him up in the band.
So you had an exchange of sorts.
Yeah. So, and then we used to just get together and just play songs, and then one day, maybe I'm going ahead of your questions. So,
No, actually, it's working out perfectly, because some of the questions I had, you're answering them. Because I do have a question about the Tru Tones, but I'm guessing you're getting there, so that's fine.
So what happened was that we used to get together and play some songs. There's Michael, and there was an area in St. Lucia called Hollywood. Remember that area? I guess you're too young for that.
I am too young for that.
It was close to where we call Conway now.
Okay.
Right. And I had a friend there, and he used to join us, and we just learned a few songs. And then one time, Carlos Mins was the bandmaster. He was head of the police band. He had his own band, but the police band had a booking that clashed with a booking for his band. So he asked me if we can come and hold on for him until he's finished with his assignment with the police band. And I said, Carlos, we don't know enough songs. We just playing around, I can't do that. He said, "No, come, we can do it. Come, you can do it." And I said, "We don't even have a name. Just call yourself Tru Tones."
Oh!
So Carlos Mins is the one who really gave us our name. And so we went to what used to be Gaiety.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
We knew a few songs, and we played them in one order. And when we played them, reverse the order.
To make it seem like you had a lot of songs.
Yeah. Until Carlos was able to come after his assignment with the police band, And I was a little boy at the time, The guitar was a little bigger than me. Struck me that, listen, these people are enjoying what we're doing, and maybe I can really do this.
Okay, so from that young.
Yeah. And I thought, boy, this is not bad, But it also struck me that people like to see young people doing positive things, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not sure if I'm good enough, but there was a kind of dichotomy in my head where I don't know if it's just because I'm young or if I'm doing it good. But I decided I'll take this thing seriously, like practice and practice and practice and practice. It began to make more sense. We started to get together and learn more and more songs. And people began to book us. Should I tell you that when we performed, the entrance fee to come see us was $1.50. $1.50, man. That's what people used to do. We used to play from 9 o'clock in the night till 2 in the morning. And for the whole band, they'd pay us $40 for the whole band, for a whole night. So, I tell people, if there was any child abuse in Saint Lucia, I was the first one. Because to have me play from 9 o'clock in the night till 2 in the morning for $40, that's child abuse. You know what I'm saying? And then people pay $1.50. And at the $1.50, some of the guys you can't make rat. You know what we call making rat? where there's an entrance fee and the guy scale the wall to come in, man. They wouldn't even pay the $1.50, man. You know?
Oh,
So,
that's what also they had, yes, because by that time, at that time rather, they wouldn't have been high fence and everybody wasn't checking everywhere to make sure.
I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you. So those were the days, you know. But then it started to get better and better for me. And then I started to take this thing very seriously. By that time, I'm at the St. Mary's College, you know, and I started to write my own songs and started to record. And people would book us to go to St. Vincent or St. Croix and so on to perform. And if it was a holiday in St. Vincent on Monday, they'd fly me to St. Vincent on Friday to perform for the weekend. And I perform in St. Vincent Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They'd fly me back to school Monday morning. And I'd fly back to St. Vincent Monday afternoon.
Oh, really?
After school, I won't perform because Monday was a holiday in St. Vincent. It was not a holiday in Saint Lucian.
Oh, yes, that's okay.
And this guy, sometimes they would charter a plane to do that, to get me there, the band. And then I realized this guy would charter a plane to fly me to St. Croix to perform. But I didn't realize what was happening. I was young, you know, and I didn't realize that I was generating enough money for people to do that kind of thing, to charter a plane to fly me through the island.
Yes.
But after a while, it began to make sense, you know, and I thought, well, maybe I can do this full time. But what happened is that after I left school, my mother told me that I wanted to just become a professional musician. And my mother said to me, nobody has done that in Saint Lucia before. So you have no watermark. You have no.
There's no precedence. No one has set that example.
You don't have any template. There's nobody you can talk to about how to function as a professional musician in Saint Lucia. So she told me I should go find an 8 to 4 job, so I can develop some work ethics to understand what it is to go to work at 8 o'clock, leave at 12, go for lunch, come back at 1 o'clock. I did that for a while. So I went to work at the income tax department. I was an income tax officer for a little while. And then I was transferred to the treasury. And one day I just told them, listen, I'm leaving this job today. I'm leaving it now. I'm going to play my music. And I do not know at that specific point what prompted it, but I just decided, listen, this is it. I'm leaving this job. I'm going to play my music. I don't care what anybody says. And they kept telling me, well, you have to give government a month's notice. I said, no, there'll be no such thing. I'm not giving
anybody notice. You're leaving now.
Today is leaving this job. I'm going to play my music. And that's how I left. And I suspect I may have some back pay up to now, man.
You just might, with interest, mind you.
And the rest is history. You know, I just left that job that day. And I went to play my music and I never turned back. So to this day, that's all I've been doing.
So, wow. No, so I'm really glad to be having this conversation. So now we can bring out those, I guess we could say, little insights and tidbits, because people see you performing at St. Lucia Jazz. They see you performing around the Caribbean internationally, and they never understand that backstory. So thank you so much for sharing this on the podcast. Now, there were 2 questions that popped up. One, you were traveling while performing. You were going to school, secondary school. And then I guess we could say in some sense a bit of a paradigm shift or a revelation that what I'm doing can generate income. Were you being paid? Do you think that potentially you were being paid adequately or close to?
Not at all. Don't forget the people who were booking me these people were adults, which were grown people in the business. You know? I was still going to school, you know. It took me a while to realize that if a guy is chartering a plane to fly me all the way to St. Croix, somebody's making a lot of money.
Yes,
you know
well, yes. Yes.
And you know Earl Muna?
No.
Muna is a different guy who used to fly us. He's another guy I have great admiration for, because Muna used to work at the airport in the hangar. He used to clean the airplanes, and then he became a pilot, you know. So he was great. He was a great inspiration to me, you know, and you know, to move from just cleaning the planes to becoming a pilot and flying 747s and so on. It's absolutely amazing.
Yes, that shows a level of discipline, determination, and just persistence to get to that point. Wow. So, with all of that, So the movements, your mother allowed you to leave school and go and perform in another country without any question?
Well, there were questions. There were a lot of questions. But you see, at the time, I had my elder brothers in the band with me, you know. So these guys used to keep me in check, you know. They used to keep me in check. I used to sometimes get away from certain things that they wanted me not to do. I would drink the occasional beer. You understand? And then as an adult, I used to occasionally drink alcohol. In other case, we used to have a good time, man. You were young boys, you know. So, and then I decided, what happened was that I got the flu one time, and the doctor told me I should not drink alcohol because it put me on some antibiotics. And I just thought to myself, and that's where the discipline comes in again. I thought to myself, if I can stop drinking alcohol, take some medication, maybe I don't have to drink alcohol at all. So I stopped drinking it, and I never drank alcohol again in my life. So for it's over 50 years, I haven't drunk anything with alcohol. And I don't eat any meat. I only eat like fresh fish. And I don't eat any canned foods. I don't smoke. I don't eat sugar. I avoid anything from water from plastic bottles and that kind of thing. I'm a bit of a health freak. My wife tells me I'm a bore. We are born for...
Yes, well, but I suppose we could say it's contributed to your longevity.
If for me to stay healthy and enjoy some kind of longevity means being a bore, then I'll be a bore.
Yes. And I'm sure she's happy about that. So you're around healthy and all.
Oh, and she's a great wife too, man. She's a great wife. You know what I say to her? I said, my wife's name is Dawn. I said, Dawn, if you ever leave me, I'm going with you, man. She's a great wife, you know. She's a great wife. She takes utmost care of me. She's my rock.
Okay. So we have to say thank you to Dawn.
Absolutely.
All right. So getting back into the conversation, you mentioned about leaving Inland Revenue and making that decision. You've had enough of, working that 8 to 4. You want to get into the passion of music, doing it as your business. In the beginning, you mentioned that mom said you needed to find a job. So now that how long did you spend at Inland Revenue? And now that you've made this decision, what were her thoughts?
I spent a few years there, man. I was transferred to what you call the Treasury. And then it was at the Treasury I decided, this is enough, man. This is enough. I'm going to pay my music, man. Because you know what happened? It's maybe people may have thought that working in the Treasury income tax, that's a secure job, because the government is not going anywhere. But I don't know that I would have been a happy person all my life. I might have stayed there, become what you call a PS. Gratification. I looked at the odds, I looked at the pros and cons, and I thought, it doesn't matter where I go in the civil service, that is not going to make me a happy camper. No, there's no gratification. And my passion was music, so I just left that and I went to play my music.
Okay, so now we've left Inland Revenue. Thanks for sharing that. Did you go full on into now tell us about the formation of Tru Tones? Is that when you went full time into the band?
Yeah. So I just got my brothers, Chester and Yeti, and my cousins, Conrad, and then two of my close friends, Owen and Dennis Ishman, who are neighbors. We spent a lot of time together. And I brought them into the band and I took this thing very seriously, but some of these guys had other plans, and sometimes they fool around, and it was difficult sometimes for me to fire my good friends, These are guys who everybody's like family to me. Owen and Dennis were like brothers from another mother, And to take a hard stand with these guys, even one of my brothers, I fired Yeti from the band one time and caused a lot of trouble in the family because my brother said, you have to learn to get together. You'll have to go to do things together. I said, no, this is not going to work. He's not taking anything seriously. But I think it's the whole discipline thing about me. I got to do this. I got to do this.
Someone told me that you're very disciplined.
Yeah, I am. And so if you're not on the same page with me, then we have a problem. And that problem, it caused problems in the family because I fired my brother from the band. My brother figured, well, no, you all can't be doing that. You'll have to do to get together, do things together. And Maybe his plan was not to be a professional musician. You know what I'm saying? That's my plan, and that's not your plan.
Yes,
Then
yes,
we need to go separate ways. You
yes,
know what I'm
yes,
saying?
that is true.
Because what I've learned in life is that you cannot wait for people to determine your level of success. You have to do what you have to do. You know what I'm saying? And that the things that get in your way, you have to find ways around them or remove them. But I also tell you that I got to a stage in my life where I worked with musicians and they gave me a lot of problems, man, a lot of problems. Because musicians are not easy people to deal with, man. And I know I should get rid of that person, but then something in my conscience tells me, but this guy has a kid. You know what I'm saying?
So thinking of
He
the
has-
family.
yeah, he has to feed his kid. He has to do this, he has to do that. So one time I fired one of my drummers, right? And I continue to pay him even when he doesn't work with me, you know? And it's bad business. It's bad business. It's stupid. But, and you know, he's never forgotten that. Every time he meets me and we talk in music, he tells people that, you know? And at the time he had bought a car, he had to pay the bank. I didn't want to pay these hardships for him. So I continued
You
to
see, that's
pay
the
him.
social worker in you.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of that. I didn't even make that connection. Yeah, you're right. Sometimes you have to imagine yourself in the predicament that other people are in, and that has to determine sometimes what decision you make. I mean, you can't throw yourself under the bus, but there are sometimes you must take other people's predicament into consideration before you make decision, because sometimes just feeding your child or schooling your child is a function of economics. I'm reluctant to make decisions that will adversely affect people's livelihood. And maybe it's not good business sense, but that's how I am.
But that's a very good perspective in terms of how to approach business and interacting with people, because whatever we do, that element of engagement and relation comes into play. I'm always of the view that if we treat as a leader or an employer, if you treat your employees well, they will treat you well. There will always be the outlier, but there are always those who will go above and beyond the call of duty once there's a fair exchange and in that sense. So yeah, so what you shared is really good. Now, despite all those, challenges of commitment and discipline and probably the foresight and the vision, Tru Tones was still a very instrumental group for the Caribbean. You were still able to produce 4 or 5 albums and LPs, I understand. Tell us about this.
Yeah, I did a lot of albums. I did the leaders. There was the first one, the Tru Tones combo of Saint Lucia with the Peters on the cover. Remember that album? You're probably too young to know that album. But that album did me well. And then I did Power Struggle. And I went to Jamaica to record. And that was pretty interesting because when we went to Jamaica, we recorded 2 albums. Yeah. And I was a young guy. I took a big risk and borrowed a lot of money from the bank to get the band to Jamaica. We spent a lot of time there recording these 2 albums. And then we only released 1 because after that, the band was disbanded because a lot of problems. And I decided, listen, I will go on my own because I knew that what made the band successful was the songs that I was writing. All the songs like Burning Eyes and Hungry Bellies, Power Struggle, Foreign Journalists, Song of Love, Show the World. These are all songs that I wrote, and that's what made the band successful. That's what got us to Super Bowl. I mean, we did Super Bowl halftime show. A lot of people still don't know that. We did Super Bowl 13. At the time, I was signed to CBS Records. CBS was not interested in the band, but they were interested in the songs I was writing. My music was also on a soap opera called One Life to Live. And what happened was that there was Super Bowl 13 that they wanted to do on the Caribbean halftime show. And because my music was already in America, they knew of me. They contacted the tourism authority here, and that's how we got booked to do part of the halftime show for Super Bowl.
And so in listening to some of the songs, especially the Burning Eye and Hungry Belly.
You probably heard your parents in the house, right?
Yes, and I've heard this song repeatedly because I grew up on the radio.
Right.
So I'm very good with listening to things. I'm always connected to listening more than watching. Yes, I enjoy watching, but connected to the listening. And when I listen to I'm saying, really? That's a Saint Lucian band. So it's a revelation. And the fact that you were able to perform at the Super Bowl, which is this massive thing that has gone beyond America. The halftime show is this major thing.
Massive, man. That's where I saw Melbourne Moore, I saw Jim Brown, I saw John Travolta, I saw what again? A lot. Super Bowl, all the big stars converge on whatever city the Super Bowl is at.
Okay.
We were also booked to do the press party the night before. So I thought, well, we're going to do the press party for the Super Bowl. Well, Super Bowl is a big meeting. There'll be about 400 people. There were 4,000 people at the party. And friends back in different areas, so that was like a cultural shock to me.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got back here, my friends would say to me, so, Boo, how many people were at the Super Bowl? And I tell them, are you kidding? You got to be kidding. Because at the time, that might have been the whole population of Saint Lucia in one venue, man.
Yes.
And if you hadn't been to America and you had not experienced that, it would be difficult to conceptualize so many people in one place.
Yes, yes.
We were not as exposed
as we are now.
As we are now. So when I tell my friends that, they say, nah, boy, you got to be king. But that's the story of my life, man. And I think also that gave me a whole lot of confidence.
Okay.
I also always keep in mind that when I'm out there on the international stage, it's bigger than Boo. It's about Saint Lucia. It's about my country. At the ball game, we stood on the map of Saint Lucia when we were performing, and there's something I felt that is difficult to describe. That there am I in America at Super Bowl halftime show, standing on the map of my country and representing my country at that age. I was just maybe 20-something years old, and it's a very gratifying thing.
I could imagine.
I managed to expose my country to maybe about over 100 million people at one time. There are not many people other than maybe Darren Sammy and Julian Alfred who have done that.
Yes, yes.
It's absolutely gratifying to know that I was able to do that for my country.
Mm-hmm. So it all started. So as you're saying that, and you said about the experience or the feeling that you couldn't explain, that might be a little bit of that kind of thing you were trying to do when you had your girlfriend and she left you. You're feeling
you cracked me up. Maybe so. Well, you see, the thing about the girlfriend thing there, I had to stop doing a lot of things because my whole I had to change a lot of things about my life. I had to do astral traveling meant I couldn't do a lot of things. But my body and my mind had to be pure at the time, and she couldn't do that, so she left me.
So yes, so definitely a little bit of that came up. So now you've done that halftime show and you had that opportunity to just bring Saint Lucia into the spotlight. You're back home after Super Bowl. This was as the group or as your solo career, the halftime?
As the group.
As the group. Okay. So you were encouraged. How did the others take on that experience?
I think it meant just as much to them as it meant to me, because not many people get to play Super Bowl, I think it was Michael Jackson wrote in his book that only the best get to play Super Bowl. So I can consider myself fortunate and blessed to be able to say that I was part of a Super Bowl halftime show. But I'll tell you what too. There are things that happened to me psychologically as a young guy, because I think at that point there was a time where people were always intrigued, and it almost seemed like harassment. So people would come to my home, and my mother's name was Iona. Say, Iona, where's Boo? And they always want me to come and play a song for them. I used to hate that. I used to hate it, man. And they trouble me all the time. And then you lose a lot of. I don't know that I like to be in
the spotlight.
The spotlight if I'm not playing music. I'm saying I if I'm not playing music, I just want to go about my business. But you have a problem in that everywhere you go, people talk to you about music. And so I go to town, and so My wife doesn't like to go to town with me.
I don't blame her.
Everybody's talking to tell you something. Oh, boy, I wanted to see one. Let me tell you. Well, I remember one time we were playing Palm Beach. That was 1978. Boy, they were playing that song. They sing me the song. They remember all that. I don't have a clue what they're talking about, man. But you see the thing about it, you have to be polite all the time. It doesn't matter what mood I'm in for the day. I have to be polite. I have to be understanding and accommodating, because I never forget that these people, Saint Lucians, are the ones who made me who I am. You understand what I'm saying? And so I never want Saint Lucians to think that I've become arrogant or I'm no longer a humble person, or I no longer have humor, because without the support, I don't know that I would become what I've become as a musician, you know. But sometimes it can get a little overbearing, you know. So it's I think people are taking up with the whole bright lights thing, the newspaper, the TV. You know what I'm saying? When there was BET Jazz, right? BET booked me and flew me to Jamaica with my band to do a thing called. They were doing a series called Jazz in the Sun, and they booked me and my band to do an hour special for them. And that would play on BT over and over and over. And then I'd done a song called King of My Jungle and the video, I did the video in New York. So that gave me a lot of profile, you know. And then with BT Jazz, they would show the Saint Lucian Jazz Festival all the time. So they would show a clip. You would see George Benson, you would see Al Jarreau, you would see any of the big stars who came to Saint Lucian Jazz, but you see Bo Hinkson. And so he did a lot for my stature as a musician, because Saint Lucians now saw me on American television in the midst of these biggest names in the world, you know? And the world saw me with these people. So that really enhanced my stature as a musician. But there's a price you pay for that, man. You see, in America, if you become well known in America, you can disappear somewhere. Because America is big, but Saint Lucia, you can't get away.
Wherever you go, somebody will find you.
Somebody will find you. So when I go to town, you know, even the breakers will call me Ronald Hinkson. You know? and what I've learned also is that, you know, I was walking with a friend of mine, and one of these guys, one of the breakers, stopped me, and I was talking to him. And I kept calling him sir. So when we left, my friend said, why are you calling the guy sir? And I had to explain to him, that is what keeps me in check. I am fully aware, keep me grounded. I'm fully aware of the vast difference between my life and the life that this Vagrant is living, and the fact he wants me to give him something. I understand all of that. But what I do understand is part of humanity also. I never want to lose track of that. I never want to forget that. So
that connection.
Exactly. So whoever, once I don't know the person, sometimes I'd go into a business place and the young person would tell him, and I would call him sir. Or I always try to be maybe a little overly polite. I don't let people take advantage of me, so to speak. I'm saying I wouldn't let it happen. Generally, I try to be just a good, decent human being. And I also pray towards that all the time. It's not something I take lightly. So when I'm in town, the Vagrant stops me and I refer to him as sir. It's a very deliberate thing to keep me in check and not allow my popularity and my success to get to my head. You know?
I love that perspective, because it shows that human side, and just reminding you and reminding others that you're human just like them. You're a person just like them.
The problem is that when you become a well-known musician, people see you on television and a whole crowd and you know, and people cheering you and people clapping and so on. And they formulate things in their head from that. And they develop their own opinion of you from that. But that is not who I am. I am more than that. You understand what I'm saying? I am more than the guy just playing a guitar on a stage and making people sing and have a good time and making some money. No, life is more than that. You know, I did an interview with a British journalist once, and after the show, I done a big concert after she was talking to me. And one of the questions she asked me was, so what next for Boo? And I think she was saying, where next? What other country I'm going to perform? or what project I'm working on. I said to her, what next for me is to continue working towards becoming the best person that I can become. And she looked at me in shock because I don't think she expected that answer. That is of paramount importance to me.
This episode is brought to you by DCI Shipping Limited. Looking to take your business global without the stress or the premium price tag? DCI Shipping Limited delivers premium exporting services at affordable prices. They specialize in seamless, secure, international shipping backed by a strong logistics network and cutting-edge technology. From careful documentation to reliable delivery, DCI Shipping handles every step with precision so your goods arrive safely and on time. If you're ready to expand your global reach with a partner who values professionalism and customer care, connect with DCI Shipping today. Visit dcishippinglimited.com to find out more. That person that you actualize or continue to live as.
Exactly. It's not, like I said earlier on, it's not about becoming a good musician. It's about becoming a great human being. And everything else will fall in place. Because what it requires to be a great human being is more than what it requires to become a good musician.
That is very true, and I absolutely agree with you. Because when it's all said and done, music can come and go, being that musician.
Absolutely.
Being the individual, being a husband, a father, a friend, a godfather remains.
Absolutely. You got it down. You have it fine. You have it like a fine science.
I try. So there are three things I wanted to. So one is just my experience with you, because for me, well, I didn't grow up per se in Saint Lucia from 12 to an adult. I was in Saint Lucia. I was born in Guyana.
Oh, you born in Guyana? I just came out of Guyana. I just did Guyana in November. I was in Rupununi.
You were in the jungle.
In the jungle. Actually, this guy, there's a small festival there, and he's combining music and nature. So he does it on a ranch. And most of the people came sit in tents. But I don't think I was comfortable with that, so he got me a cottage, But it's a very big concept, and I really enjoyed being in Guyana in that. It's like nature. It's a lot of nature.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes, it is a lot of greenery. But what I wanted to explain was, we met, I think maybe 2 years ago because the High Commission was hosting the Prime Minister's Gala. And when
I remember.
And when we were thinking about artists to have from St. Lucia, you were one of those persons that came to mind for me and came to mind for High Commissioner as well. And living in St. Lucia, you had always been that jazz. I wasn't into very instrumental music because I always saw jazz as that abstract thing. And I always enjoyed your music and Barbara Cadet. Shane Ross was also an artist who sang that I always liked. And so it was a no-brainer when we thought, okay, boo. And I said, wow, this will be a nice opportunity to meet you. And just meeting you and interacting and just our whole planning, it exemplifies what you describe yourself as, what you want to be. Because you weren't the typical musician that we would think of, oh, I want this or I want that. You were just very willing to try to work with us in the way that no one lose, but Saint Lucia was the highlight and the focus.
Saint Lucia comes first.
Yes. Saint Lucia, you said that. Saint Lucia came first when we said, okay, you know what? This is what we have. This is what we could do. And we really appreciated your flexibility. We appreciated your manager's flexibility as well.
Saint Lucia comes first.
Yeah, that always stayed with me.
I'm happy that I was able to make that impression. Create that impression.
Yes, and you didn't forget me. So the next time I met you, you did remember who you spoke with. Yeah, so those were always my thoughts. And even when I was in St. Lucian, I saw you. I'm like, would you remember me from speaking? And so I told you I saw you. And you said, well, why didn't you come and say hello? That's it. So now I know. So I can't come to St. Lucian and not say hello.
Not say hello. That's not good.
Yes.
Particularly as you have my number.
Yes. Yes, I know. Now I can't get away with it.
So next time you come to St. Lucia, we have to be my guest. Be my guest at my next performance.
I will definitely do that. So you shared in your sharing earlier on, you've answered quite a number of the questions I would have had. And there's a question, well, there's still a lot more questions to ask, but there are two things that are popping out for me. One, where did Boo come from? How did you decide upon that?
The story I have is that when I was a baby, when I first started to speak, I was saying Boo for some reason, and my dad started to call me Boo as a nickname. And it's now when I go into my teens, I tried to get rid of it, but by that time it had been on the newspapers, on the television, and then after a while it became a term of endearment because people would call it part of my Boo. That's my Boo, and so I just stuck with it. It doesn't matter anymore now because everybody is part of me, and the other half of most people, they refer to them as my Boo.
Yes, that is true. That is very true. So thanks for giving us that insight. Now you've been on the guitar. So are you going to play a little something for us?
Oh my God.
Before we continue?
Well, you're not going to hear much of that there. You're not going to hear because I don't have it plugged up or anything. All you can hear is this. And nobody's going to hear.
So is it a comfort thing or like a prop, sort of?
I don't know what it is, man, but I just like to be just
doing something with your fingers.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, I don't know it's my mic. Boo! Boo, I'm trying to talk to you, man. Put the guitar down. It's just
I could imagine those interactions.
It's just an extension of who I am. I come from a gig in the night, and I get them excited because it was good and the music was good. I said, Donna, boy, this thing was good tonight. I this. I played it. She said, Boo, I don't play any guitar now. I don't play that now, please. I started asking Donna, people pay a lot of money to have me do this, People pay money to have me do this. Why are you dismissing me? But that's what she has to live with because she married a musician.
Yes, that's right. I could imagine, but very entertaining, and it's created the life that you currently live. Now, some of your experiences, tell us a bit about playing at Saint Lucia Jazz. Saint Lucia is always number one. So you had all these opportunities to play outside. How does it feel performing at Saint Lucia Jazz? And the very first time you got that call to say, Boo, we want to feature you.
Boy, let me tell you what. When the jazz festival started, right, I was called to a few meetings about how we should go and who we should book, blah, blah, blah. I went to all these meetings. And would you believe that there was Paxton Baker and another friend from Trinidad whose name I can't recall right now. Derek Lewis. And my first function was to be in charge of the guys who were moving all the speakers and all that stuff. And I didn't tell these guys. I didn't tell the guys I was a musician because I so wanted to see this thing happen.
Okay.
So I would get up early in the morning and go get all the guys who would transport all these guys who would go and move all the speakers and set up the stuff. And eventually, Derek said to me, well, you never told me you were a musician. I said, well, maybe it wasn't necessary at the time. What I can do to make this thing happen for Saint Lucian. And then they began to delve into my music, and then the authorities said, book to me. One of the years I remember distinctly is when I first opened for George Benson. And now George Benson is like my idol. He's considered, one of the best guitarists in the world in history. And to go on stage before George Benson, you have to be either stupid or brave.
One or the other.
One or the other. And I went there and I started playing the spectrum notes. Maybe my muscle coordination was wrong, and I popped a string from the first song. And I had to play the rest. I just played the rest of the concert with 5 strings on my guitar. I said, oh my God, I kept cringing all the time, because it was difficult. But
you played your life.
I lived through it. And then, lo and behold, I think George had come to a performance I was doing, a brunch I was doing at Big Gardens Hotel just before the jazz show on Sunday. And he came and he said to me, man, you're a good player. And he spoke to Desmond Skeet, who was in charge of Jazz Festival at the time. And Desmond told me, boy, George said you're a good player, but Brian explained a few things in the musical that I too technical to go through now. But, and then George says to me, I'll hook you up with a good guitar. And at the time I was playing what we call an Ibanez. And he says, I designed the GB series for Ibanez. The GB is George Benson. And I got an Ibanez guitar from him. The Jazz Festival did a lot for my career and my stature because it gave me profile in America now. Because now that I'm on American television, among the best in the world, you see George Benson on BET, and then you see boom. Or you see Al Jordan, boom, and you see Wood and Santana or Finance Fly, and then you see boom on BET. Because otherwise, I don't know if I would have gotten that opportunity. Huh? So the Jazz Festival has did a lot for me. You know? I mean, year before last, I opened for Sting and Shaggy. Then after that, I did the show with last year I did John Legend, and what was the last year I did John Legend or somebody else. You don't get in that company if something profound hadn't happened in your life, and if you're prepared for it. But I've always decided that anytime opportunity comes, I must be ready. And you know what? I often say to young people, prepare for the future, because the future doesn't mess around. The future doesn't discriminate you.
Not
The
at all.
future no, it doesn't ask you if you're prepared. It just accepts you however you come. It doesn't care if you're rich, poor, black, white, if you're a Jew, you're whatever. The future simply accepts you as a representative of your past. It doesn't accept.
That's wise.
We all have to prepare for it. And because I'm a musician and I have to prepare for the future with my music and with my life. And so I just always try to do what I have to do to get where I want to get to. But that comes with a lot of, that success can come with a lot of envy, because not everybody's going to be happy with what you do, what you have achieved in life. The way I deal with this is that if a musician sees me perform at a jazz festival or sees me, we have a video on YouTube of me and my band in Taichung, a huge, massive crowd. Must have been about 50,000 people in the park. And so if you see that kind of thing and you say, well, you see boo again, boo.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The way I internalize that is that your sentiments about me being on BET or me playing jazz festival or me going to the White House, that if you have a problem with that, you deal with the problem. Because that's not a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that. I set out to do that in my life. You understand what I'm saying? So how you feel about it is not something I should internalize. If you have a problem with me that I have worked towards so and so and so, and I've succeeded at it, and you have a problem with that, it is the problem. That's not my problem. I don't internalize these things. But I fully understand that your achievement in life will not everybody be happy for you.
And thanks for sharing that, because so many times I would say, even for myself, somebody say, oh yeah, you've done a great job. You've done this, you're doing well. But I don't think until later on in life, it occurred to me, not everyone that's supposedly cheering me on is really cheering me on.
Not at all. Not at all. You see, you have to understand in life.
It's hard to accept when you think that, this person that you call your friend or somebody, a mentor, a supporter, doesn't really, because they say it and their actions is something else.
Absolutely. You have to understand that often in life you find that people, the very people you help, they accept the help, they're happy for it, but they're also jealous of the fact that you're in a position to help. So there's all that they're dealing with. And once you recognize that, then you know how to deal with it. But you don't allow it to change you, change the person that you are. You must not turn you into somebody who you want to be or who you ought to be. The person that you know that is difficult.
Yes. Oh, yes, it's very difficult because I struggle.
Yeah, it's difficult, but it is better to be a good person. Just be a good human being. In spite of, just be a good human being, because it always works.
Yes. Those are very good or excellent words of advice that we can all apply. So thank you for such wisdom and insight. All of that has been sitting. And so I'm glad to be on the podcast and having the opportunity to bring out a bit of history and wisdom. So as we continue, there are the Grammys. You judge?
You go to the Grammys, yeah. Well, we don't. How
did that opportunity present itself?
Well, let me tell you what. I used to write a lot of stuff for a singer, American singer called Tracy Hamlin. I don't know if you know a group called Pieces of a Dream. Tracy used to be the lead singer of Pieces of a Dream, and then I started to write for her when she went off on her own. So I wrote Magic in Love, that she recorded twice. She did 2 different versions of it. And we went through the first round of the Grammys. We didn't win, but it's all right to get there. And then I wrote for her another song called User Friendly. And at the time, I used to go to the Lincoln Center in New York to perform all the time. And Tracy said to me, maybe Boo should become a member of the Grammys Academy, because she was a trustee. So you don't become a judge, you become a voting member.
Oh, a voting member.
Before
Okay.
you become a voting member, you must have had a certain amount of music at an international level. You must have done a certain amount of performance at an international level. And I'd done that, And so when you become a voting member, you get you get invited to the Grammys. You just go to the Grammys, And you so people submit their songs, and you have a password. You go to the listening room and listen, and you judge, and that's what it is. We go to the Grammy sometimes, and it's a good place to network. You meet a lot of great people, and I'm thankful to Tracy for having given me the opportunity to become a voting member.
Okay, so that sounds like a wonderful experience. I mean, just as you said, to connect and network, and then to see more that large American of entertainment.
It epitomizes the best of the music in the world. That's where you operating at. That's the level you're operating at, But going there is a great experience. It's an experience that I really wish that I could find an opportunity for a lot of younger musicians, particularly younger musicians, to be able to experience. I like to get young musicians involved in the things that I do. Like when I went to the White House, I took a young musician with me because I wanted him to experience what it is to operate at that level. America celebrates Caribbean Heritage Month every year, and I've been invited to speak on Caribbean music and to perform some stuff, And I took a young musician with me. That too was a great experience because it doesn't happen often, you know what I'm saying? So I'm grateful for all these things that have happened with my music.
Well, that's good. It speaks to, I mean, all those experiences you were able to gain, or rather be the exposure that you were able to have. And having that exposure, you saw the importance of passing it on and sharing with that generation to come up.
For me, that is an imperative, because I never forget that why I am today. I stand on the shoulders of people like Toto and Carlos Mins and Will King and all the older musicians in Saint Lucia, and Pan Andrew at Big Six. These are the spenders of that I stand today. So I have to, my mother used to say to me, "Boo, if you ever take the elevator up, make sure you send it back down. You'll meet them on your way down, So
Yes. So make a way for others to come up, essentially.
Absolutely. And that helps. If each of us can do that, it helps get rid of the myth that we Black people can't support each other. That's not true.
Correct. Yes. Your mother has some really good perspectives and wise words.
Oh, my mother was, she had a lot of wisdom. And I think that's the way we have as a country, we're not learning from the wisdom of the older generation. I think one of the problems we have today, because there's been this democratization of information. Young people have access to a lot of information, but they don't know how to convert it into knowledge. Information is not necessarily knowledge.
Yes.
And that disconnect from the older generation it hasn't served us in good stead at all. My mother had a lot of wisdom. She knew a lot of things, and I always paid attention to whatever she had to say. and it has served me throughout my life.
I completely agree with you. And I could see from a lot of the things you said and what she would have shared with you, the wisdom. I agree in the sense that information has been democratized and there's so much that people don't really know what to do with it and how to use it in the way that could benefit them rather than just knowing it. How do you know what's right? How do you use it in the right way? And rather than just sharing because you think you should share it, not verifying and that sort of
Not only that, we have a situation in the world where you see that the internet has almost some total of man's knowledge.
Mm.
And everybody has access to it,
Yes, correct.
I don't want to be discriminated, but I don't know that everybody is ready for all the information they have access to, because the wrong information in the wrong hands can be detrimental to society.
True. Very true. We see it every day.
Every day, but who are we to decide who must give access to all information? You know what I mean? I don't know that we're in a position to decide that.
Correct. So, we had a lot of history, a lot of philosophy, a lot of wisdom, experience, mentorship. To do all of this, you require a team, of course, a team of people to help you along. How did you decide who would form part of that team? Would it be a manager, your accountant, your lawyer? How did you put that together?
One of the things I know about the music industry, you need a few things around you. You need a lawyer because you have to deal with contracts. You need a publisher because your publisher is the one that exploits your music for you. So your publisher will try and get your music in ads or try and get it in a movie or whatever. You need a manager and you need an agent. With all these things around you, you might just find you creating music. The music is doing well, you're generating money, but you're not getting the money because you haven't got a team around you that you need to take care of the business aspect of the music. Music is a business, and if you don't educate yourself in the business, you might very well find you get into your old age and you're poor and you have nothing. You have a home, you have a car, you have no savings, you have nothing because you didn't take care of the business aspect of the music. It is a business like any other business. Only that it is extremely, extremely competitive. And that if you don't take care of the things you have to do, then you might be doing it for all your life and never succeed at it. Or rather, your music might be doing well, but you're not getting the money out of it. I know guys who sold 1 million and end up owning a record company because they signed bad deals, And in today's world, it's even worse now because with the advent of the way technology has created a seismic shift in the way the music industry operates. So before we could sell CDs, and the profit margin on the CD was high. So the guys who sold CDs made a lot of money. There's a lot of money in the days of CDs, but now with just streaming platforms, the streaming platforms are making all the money, and what you're making as an artist is peanuts, Of course, stream now, we probably get 0.00397 of a cent. So if I get when I get 1 million streams, I get maybe 4,000 US. That's no money. So it's even more important now that you deal with the business of the music, make the business of the music something that you understand very well, because the money stream is diminished now because you're not making any money off CDs. The place you're making money now is on performances and merch.
And what about the use of the music in movies or series or
Well,
these?
that's what I'm talking about. That's where the publisher takes care of for you, So there's money but a lot of particularly Caribbean musicians don't have a publisher, and that is where they're making a big mistake. And then you also need a lot of the young artists. I sit with them, man. You have to learn how to be managed, man. You have to learn how to be managed. You don't get a manager and decide doing what you want. It doesn't work so. And then you might even sometimes it's necessary to get an image consultant, because particularly if you deal in the American market, image is everything. In the American market, you can be average and make a lot of money because of the image they're giving you. The image thing creates perception,
The visual So they're about seeing what's in.
Exactly. The visual, and part of that is learning how to deal with the media, how to conduct yourself in a setting that you're probably not used to. If you move from just playing music in some backyard somewhere, and suddenly you end up in an environment that is very different to what you're used to, you have to be prepared for it. You have to know how to behave in that setting. You have to know what to say, what not to say, how to deal with the media, what you should say in the media, what you shouldn't say. You just say one wrong thing to the media and your career can take a battering. So all of these things you have to take care of, but you need a team around you to do that. And then not only that, for me, I don't like to get deeply involved and micromanage all of these little things. I want to know what's going on. And there's some decisions where I have the last say. But generally, I would leave a lot of stuff for my team to handle because I want to focus on making the music, because that's what keeps me going. That's what's going to take care of my livelihood. So I can't get tied up in all of these other things and not pay attention to the music. So it's better you pay attention to the music and make sure you succeed at it, making the money to pay these people, because that's what's going to keep you going. Because without that team around you, trust me, you may go nowhere because you don't understand the business. And some people, then there's a very strict division of labor in the music thing, This person does this person does that, this person does this person does that. And then you take care of so and that's how you're going to succeed. But if you try and do everything yourself, the likelihood of you succeeding is greatly diminished.
Wisdom. See? No, it didn't fall very far. You've inherited your mother's wisdom. And this
absolutely,
also it just shows also that experience over the years, because some of it you've learned from things you've done, you've learned from observation, you've learned, from practice and so on.
Oh yeah. And then, you're right. It's wisdom. It's reading, arming yourself with information, and understanding who you need for your success. You have to be able to understand who you need. I have certain people who do certain things for me in one part of the world. That person, in the other part of the world, that person does that. Because sometimes the person who can do it for you in the US doesn't have the network in England.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, you have to understand who you need in any given context.
Yes. So the best person for the job in the situation.
Right, exactly.
So, as we're speaking about the best person for the job and location and so on, in the list of persons, you didn't mention an accountant. So how does that fit into do you have an accountant?
Well, I do. And my wife is a certified financial planner, apart from everything else.
Oh, excellent. So definitely you have an appreciation of the need for that financial management as well.
That is, to the young musicians, I tell the young musicians all the time, do not fail to get somebody who can advise you in that regard, because I know musicians who made money, a substantial amount of money, and they blew it because they'll get another hit. And you are one hit wonder, you never get another hit. You die poor.
Yes. But if that money was managed better.
I'm happy in my wife, I have a certified financial planner.
There you go.
So everything has fallen in place for me, man. Maybe I'm a lucky guy, Maybe I'm a lucky guy. Apart from her other degrees, but she's also a certified financial planner.
And that's critical. Once you can understand the money, how to use it, how to balance it, and the disbursement, where it's coming, where it's going.
Yeah, my wife will not let me waste money. Allow me to treat myself to something, but she will not allow me to waste money and do nonsense.
Yes, you've worked hard. So yes, you've worked hard. So you deserve to treat yourself every now and then. So as we talk about family and you talk about your wife, how have you been able to balance being a musician, traveling around the world with various experiences, with the demands of a family, of keeping that relationship and home going? How have you been able to balance that?
It can be difficult sometimes, My wife travels a lot with me now. She didn't do The last time I went to Dallas, she was with me. She did London with me a few times recently. We just came back from St. Vincent's. She didn't do Guyana and my last London trip with me. But she travels with me a lot now because she used to be banker. But now she's doing her own consultancy and so on. It's easier for us to travel together now,
So it has more flexibility.
More flexibility now, And because of the way I eat, I like when she's there because it means we can sometimes just, rent a villa somewhere and then I eat the food that I want to eat rather than in the hotel. The hotel is, sometimes it's difficult to get what I want to eat. I do canned foods. And on the road, it's difficult to get fresh food.
Yes, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's difficult to get fresh food. And I don't drink water from plastic bottles. So I'm a bit of a problem. Like my wife said, you're a boy, so you're a boy.
Yes, okay. So makes sense. Makes a lot of sense, yeah.
But it's a lot easier for me when she's there, and it helps me to relax too, because when you have to go to perform, it's a lot of stress. It's a lot of pressure because you want this thing to go good every time. In an 8 to 4 job, you can go and have a bad day at work, If you have an 8 to 4 job, you have a bad day at work. The next day, go and do your paperwork and fix it up. With the music thing, when you get on stage there, it better be good because if it's good, then the media will write that it was not good, and then you get bad reviews and it affects your livelihood, So you have to deal with the nerves all the time, man. It's a nerve-wracking thing, trust me. I said to Judge Benson, Judge, do you ever get nervous? He says, Woo, when you stop getting nervous, start getting worried. Because you're taking things for granted. And I don't ever want to take things for granted. But it's better when my wife is on the road with me. I'm a lot more comfortable and a lot more relaxed. The only thing is that sometimes when I'm by myself, you can go into a kind of a depression kind of thing. Because you go to a lot of people there and a lot of bright lights and a lot of noise and a lot of revelry. And when you finish, people come, they take a photograph with you, they bring their family, come and take a picture, and everybody's nice. When you finish that, you're in a hotel room by yourself. So it's, I think, going from one extreme to the next. There are times when you want to be by yourself, but there are times you really wish that you had somebody.
There's someone to share it with.
Yeah, so that's, I remember when I was much younger, with the Tru Tones days, we'd go to perform and then we'd finish a gig in Palm Beach. A lot of people, and when you finish, you see all the cigarette butts and the empty pep bottles, half empty pep bottles. And I just go by myself and just cry. And it's only later on in life, I realized what was happening to me. It was a downer that you feel. You just go from one extreme to the next. Some kind of thing there, but I'm over that now, I think. You know what makes me very happy now, too, man? I have a granddaughter. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I saw you with her last year. Mm-hmm. Was it last year or the year before? Yes.
I think it might have been early last year or year before. But, that's my joy now, She called me Papa. And it brings me a lot of joy just to be able to come home to her. And when I'm away, talk to her on the phone, Oh, my God, it's a real joy. It's the love with grandchildren is another level of love. It's a different kind. That's another vibe. That's a different level of love, a different kind of love that I thoroughly enjoy. That's my pride and joy.
I could see you beaming from sharing that story and the feeling on the inside.
I love all my kids. You know what I'm saying? But my granddaughter, it's oh my gosh, that's a real joy.
She brings a different level of joy.
A different kind of love, a different level of just watching her grow up, and at the different stages, it's so gratifying.
All right, so good. So I wish you a lot of fulfilling moments with her as she grows, because as they're younger, it's even more joy. And then she can see from what you're doing and you can share a lot of the wisdom that you have with her as well. So
absolutely. Yes, definitely so.
What about AI in music? This is the elephant in the room.
Let me tell you what, man. AI has its pros and its cons. However, I think we have to embrace it and I will. But I think I will do a kind of a hybrid thing, because now I can hear a song and know that's AI. It's good, but I can hear it's AI. Because there's something, I don't know if it's just some generic thing that happens with the AI music, but there's something that tells me that's AI. I can hear it. And I think it's maybe the lack of the human element. So I think what most people will do now is do the sort of a hybrid. We'll do AI and part live stuff. But it can create a lot of problems for us because, I put my old Song of Love into one of these AI programs. I told it, give me a reggae version of that. And what it gave me, I was shocked because it's that good. It is that good. I was shocked to hear what it gave me. And I thought, oh my God, this is trouble. And guess what? The quality it gives you is as good as what you can just put out in the market.
Oh.
It's properly mixed and properly mastered already. So what's going to happen is that I believe a lot of people are going to bypass the engineers that have to mix and master for you. A lot of people are going to bypass that, so that's less income generated for these people. And then it's going to affect writers, because I can tell AI one or two things about you and tell her, okay, having said that, I want you to give me a song about Angela. And write me a whole song and give me the music in about 2 minutes. This is what we're living with. So, and then also, we have people who are doing music with AI and putting it on the platforms, on the streaming platforms, to compete with you and me who sit and write an entire song by ourselves.
That's what I discovered.
We're looking to build our story in a particular way. We want to build the intensity of the story. You want your punchline at the end, and you want to know that the music builds, that the intensity in the music builds the same way with the intensity in the lyrics of your song. But you have people who go on AI and just do a song. Give me a song about Angela. Angela lives in London, and she does so and so and so, and she has curly hair, and she's the typical black woman, blah, blah, blah. And AI will write that for you in 2 minutes and then give you a song.
Wow.
And then somebody will do that and put it on the streaming platform to compete with me, who's taking my time to write a song. So boy, there's no end to the problems that thing can create, but it's not going to go away. So we will have to embrace it. And I think what most people will do is a sort of a hybrid. If we don't embrace it, those of us who do not embrace it will be left behind. Trust me.
I couldn't have said it better. It's moving at a very fast rate, and it's making changes. So it's learning it and seeing how you can adapt and benefit.
And guess what? I don't even know if it is possible for legislation to happen as fast as AI is moving.
Only political will can make that happen. And because political will moves at a very slow pace, it's not moving at the same pace as the AI is growing.
It's going to create problems. It's going to create some problems, because like I told, I just put my own song in Song of Love. So give me a reggae version, and just give me an excellent reggae version of the song. Excellent. I mean, and the singers it chooses, man. Let me tell you, that thing is shocking. It is shocking. And what has me concerned is that everything man has come up with that is for humanity, at some point uses for evil. That has me a little perturbed about where AI is going and what can happen, because I believe eventually this thing will be infinitely brighter than man, and it will work faster than man. And if it reaches a point where it requires conscience, and it has none of that, then humanity will be in trouble. If it can develop to a point where it can think independently, and it has no morals and no compass, we will be in deep, deep trouble.
Yes.
And that is beyond the music.
Yes, beyond the music, just everyday life.
Everyday life.
So thanks for providing your insight and perspective. And it just shows that, as a musician, you have to be aware of what's happening around, learning, adapting, and enlisting persons who can help.
That's very, very necessary.
In that.
Very necessary.
Okay, so as we bring this most insightful, informative, inspirational conversation to a close, there are Well, there's one thing. One, my favorite song to date, I mean, I like lots of your other songs. I like your instrumental, is Good Day.
My Good Day. Should I tell you about that song?
Please.
I spent 48 weeks on the top 100 in Hungary with My Good Day. So I'm happy that's the song you like. 48 weeks you spent on the top 100, and I peaked at number 5.
Okay, wow.
48 weeks on the top 100 is absolutely astounding. In a place like Hungary, where nobody, I don't know if they knew of my music before, but when I got the thing of the charts, I said, wow, that is really, I'm happy. I'm happy for Saint Lucia, because, see, one of the things I keep in mind is that tourism is the basis of our economy. This is what drives our economy. It is the biggest contributor to our GDP. And when our music plays on Jazz FM in London, Jazz FM has a huge listenership. So it means I'm actually selling Saint Lucia. When they say booing from Saint Lucia on Jazz FM, when they say booing from Saint Lucia on Sirius XM, that is selling Saint Lucia. When I get on the chart in Hungary and I spend 48 weeks in the top 100, that is good for Saint Lucia.
That's a good portion of the year.
Tell me about it. You know what I'm saying? So it gives me a great gratification to know that I can achieve that success, and the country would benefit from it, because every time they play the word music from Saint Lucia, it's. I like to know it. I like to know that I can do that for my country.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So Saint Lucia first, as always.
You know what I did? I was invited to perform at the swearing ceremony of Prime Minister Philippe Pierre, and that's the song I did.
Yes, I watched it.
Sometimes we repurpose music, and the Prime Minister came to Big Chef Manas before and said, "Boo, that's My Good Day, a good song." Somebody else said to me, the lyrics seem like they were written for that occasion, because it says, "Woke up this morning, sun was shining, looked out my window, and I saw my good day coming."
Yes.
It's been some time since my good day's been on my mind.
It's been on my mind. Yes.
I hope it's not to say I don't need a day yesterday.
Yes. My
Good Day helped me sing a different song. It was so appropriate for that it's
yes, yeah.
It's shocking. Yes. But I'm glad you like it.
And thanks for providing us with the backdrop on the song. And Hungry, I mean, that's non-English speaking.
Can you imagine, man?
That's a long way to go.
That's 4 weeks out of a year that a song was on the charts, and a song from Saint Lucia of all places.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's funny, when I first heard the song, it was at Youth Awards in 2017, I believe, because it was a very challenging time for me. And was I at that awards, or I saw it on television, and Shane Ross and Jesse Stevens performed that song.
They were the first ones who recorded it. They were the first ones.
Yes, and they performed it at the Youth Awards, and I shared it with everybody I knew. I would send it and say, "Do you know who this is? And do you know that here, if I'm having a challenging day, or even sometimes, and I just want to get ready for my day, I put on Good Day."
My Good Day. Wow, that's nice to hear.
Yes.
Shane just once we recorded, then I did another version.
Yes.
With Irvin Islochta and Shannon Pinnell from Beaufort. And that's the version that took off in Hungary. And I must really thanks for them for doing justice to the song, because sometimes the song, you know it's good, but it doesn't go anywhere. And because all the elements in it, right? And Shannon seemed to have just killed it, man.
Yes, it has a powerful message. So yes.
Powerful, yeah.
Yes. So, Boo, we could continue going for another hour, I'm sure. This has been such an incredible conversation. I mean, just talking about your experience, about your journey, what you've learned along the way, and just a reminder to us that mastery doesn't happen overnight. It takes courage, and it takes a level of discipline and consistency, and surrounding yourself with the right people. But most of all, doing it for self as the whole, not doing it for the achievement, the success, the rewards, or the recognition, but remembering doing it for your whole. At the end of the day, it's about the individual. That's what Boo taught us. And
it's also about my country.
Yes, and country, of course. So that national pride. And Boo, you have really, I would say, contributed greatly to raising the profile of Saint Lucia. More likely than not, the profile of Saint Lucia Jazz, the profile of being a musician, a guitarist. And at Begin Build Blossom, we are so grateful that you allowed us to share your story.
Well, thanks for talking to me, man. It was great. It was great. I love artists in London. Again, if you come to Saint Lucia before, don't fail to call.
Yes, definitely. And then we can have another conversation face to face because there's lots more we could talk about.
Lots more we can talk about.
Okay, so thank you again. And
thanks for talking to me.
Yes. So this has been Begin, Build, Blossom, your business journey, a space for real conversations around entrepreneurship and creative journeys. We encourage you to like, share, and subscribe. And we welcome you to engage with our content so we can grow the family and share the message. I've been your co-host for this episode, Angela. This is all, and bye for now. Thank you. A quick note before we wrap up. The insights and experiences shared by our guests are their own. We love creating space for real conversations about business and growth, and everyone's journey is unique. Therefore, this podcast is for informational and inspirational purposes only. It is not meant to replace legal, financial, or other professional advice. So we encourage you to take what's useful, do your own due diligence, and build what works best for you.
Thanks for listening to Begin, Build, Blossom, your business journey. We hope today's conversation gave you the insights and inspiration you need to move forward on your own path. Don't forget to subscribe or follow wherever you get your podcast so you never miss an episode. Do you have feedback? We'd love to hear from you at podcast@cmeaccountingllc.com. Join us again next week for a new episode.